Yesterday we took a look at the Amazon $300 PC and what we could get for the price on Amazon considering Black Friday deals, and the sort of PC we built was something that was very much older, perhaps up to a decade old, but something that would still handle games, coming in with a quad-core processor, 16 gigs of RAM, and DDR3 RAM, older RAM, and also coming in with a 1063 gigabytes. So not the best PC in the world, but something that would play games. Now, I can tell you this already, the PC we are building today, without any of the Black Friday deals, just base price. So you'll see this has a 70% off little mark here, but I'm not going to be applying that. I'm just going base price. So we're not even applying any savings. I do think that this 70% off is a Black Friday deal, but that would just be... honestly, I'm not exactly sure how the savings work on AliExpress. So even without applying savings, and you can check out these savings for yourself, if you can sort of apply these, this PC would come out to be a lot less. Perhaps we can bundle up the savings price at the end, but even without savings, this PC is a fantastic value. So while this is a Black Friday video, I'm going to give you both prices at the end. So let's just firstly take the $100, $95. You are getting a X99 motherboard, coming in with a Xeon CPU. Now this is an 8-core CPU, 16 threads. And while it's not a gaming CPU per se, it will be just fine for gaming. And the only real thing with this is it's going to pull a little bit more power. And it has some caveats to it, but in terms of gaming performance, it's not going to be too bad. For the RAM, we are coming in with 8 gigs of RAM, so it is less, although the picture says 16 gigs, but the description says... Oh, it is 16 because it's 2 pieces of 8. So 16 gigs of RAM, DDR4. I'm not sure on speed, but when you compare it to yesterday's PC, you can't complain either way. It's probably a low speed, probably 2400 or something like that, but for the price, you can't complain. Now, this is a 4-channel motherboard, so you can always add more if you want to get to 32 gigs of RAM. And this has 2 NVMe slots. It has obviously the space for a Xeon chip. It's a really cool looking motherboard. It has a little numerical indicator for error codes. It's overall, yeah, it's a machinist motherboard. I've definitely heard of them. It has many slots for SATA. It seems to have 6 over there. USB 3, all of the standards. And all in all, it looks nice. It even has a really nice looking backplate here. So it's very impressive for the price. I think what AliExpress is doing with these motherboards and these upgrade kits is genius. And if you can get this for $30, I mean, that's a steal. That's a really good price. So, like I said, the CPU is a 8-core CPU, 16 thread. The power draw isn't that high. It's only 90 watts. I thought it would be higher. So yeah, it says that the memory supported is DDR4. It does say 1600 or 1866. I didn't even know DDR4 came in that slow of a speed. But either way, even if it is DDR3, it's still a fantastic deal. So combining with this fantastic motherboard, CPU and RAM combo for only $95, or on sale $30, we have an RX 590 8 gigabytes. So the RX 580 is the I'm not sure if this is the 2048 version or if the RX 590... Okay, so the RX 590 is 2304 SP and the RX 580 is 2048 SP. So these are both clocked down versions, but the RX 590 should perform like an RX 580 base. So it's a good card, obviously. The way that they've laid this out is a little bit confusing, but still, It's a good card, and we are looking at the $106 price. Now, other cards in this price range would be something like the 1060 we looked at yesterday. If you get lucky, a second-hand 1070 or something like that, maybe an RX 5600 XT or something like that. But something like this would be fine. It is GDDR5, 256-bit bus, and it has 8 gigs of VRAM. And that's what I said yesterday when I spoke about that PC. The 3 gigs of VRAM really limits you. And the reason for that is you can't turn up the textures in many games. And that sort of forces you to run the games at lower settings. So in terms of graphics cards, this is looking quite good. All in all, it's a much better PC than yesterday already. Moving on to the SSD, we have a Evetech. This is a 512 M.2 SSD, and this is coming in at $30 or $10 with the Black Friday welcome deal. For the graphics card, it is also 50% off at the moment, so that's $53. Then we have, like I said, but this is the 256 version. So yesterday we also used the 256 SSD. This is a NVMe drive. Sorry, my brother keeps spamming me. This is an NVMe drive, and it is the 256 version. It's a little bit smaller, obviously, but like I said, same as yesterday. And in terms of speeds, this isn't going to be the best thing of the world, but it's not going to be bad either. This is coming in at $30 or $10 on sale at 65% off, and you have until December 4 to buy this. Let's see what the 1 terabyte costs. $40, which is a fantastic price for a 1 terabyte, or normal price is around $90, not too bad, and it is 53% off. So yeah, this is what I would choose, the 256, just to keep it consistent, and this is a fantastic deal, much better than yesterday's deal. For the case, 34% off, $12.89, or usually it's $20, which is a very low price for a case. And this might not be everyone's cup of tea, but I think this looks nice. I'm not sure what the quality level is. It doesn't have a name brand, but it's a full ATX tower. And even if the case isn't the best thing in the world, I think it'll be fine just for, it doesn't look too bad if it's anything like this. And I'm sure the component quality is not going to be the best thing in the world, but it's fine for just holding the components if you don't move around too much with the case, even if it is very plasticky. But computer cases have gotten a lot better, and the form factor of ATX is just so standard now that I'm sure that something like this will be fine, even if the build quality is a little bit lower than what you might be used to. And then wrapping it up, this is the one thing with AliExpress that I struggle with, is the power supplies. The power supplies are quite expensive on AliExpress, and the performance, well, not the performance, but the value doesn't seem that good to me. So with the sale, obviously $23 isn't much for a 450 watts, but usually this is around $60. Now, you could get a 700 watt power supply that is a name brand one for around $70, and I would much rather do that. But if you do insist on buying a power supply from AliExpress, something like this will be fine. I do think maybe you need a little bit more power. Maybe, let's see what loads up here. No more power supplies, but maybe 550 watts, because it is a RX 590, so that is a little bit power hungry. So this will be fine for, it's not going to burn out the PC, but I would probably avoid buying a power supply on AliExpress altogether and just get one locally, because you're going to have to worry about plugs as well. Now, you can order the correct plug, but I just wouldn't risk it. This is the one thing that I would just buy locally. Just go to a local shop and just get a power supply, whatever they have available that is of the correct wattage. So if you do insist on buying this, because this is a good price at $23, $60 not so much, then I'm sure it might be okay, but it's not something that I would do. So just to recap, we have a X99 motherboard with a Xeon E5 2640V3, 8-core CPU, 16 threads. We do have DDR4 RAM, very slow RAM, but we do have DDR4 RAM coming in at 16 gigs. We have a RX 590 8GB, the lower sort of clock down version of the card, but still not going to be too bad. We have a 256 NVMe drive, and this is, I'm not sure what gen this is, but I'm sure the speeds aren't going to be fantastic, but it'll be fine for gaming. For the case, we just have a generic $20 case. You can just use whatever you want. For the power supply, we have a 450 watt one, but I do think you should probably try and get a 550, and you should try and get it locally. So obviously quite a fantastic PC. I'm very impressed with the selection on AliExpress, and this is coming in at full price, around $310, which is, wow, what a good deal for, and this is when you're not applying any savings. So it's a really good deal for full price. Let's do the calculation for the sale price. Now this is Black Friday savings, and that is what these videos are all about. So let's see what it costs when we actually look at the price that is being charged as of this moment in Black Friday, what this PC would cost. So we are just concluding the, okay, that's insane, $127. So obviously when you buy on AliExpress you have to think about shipping, but if you can get a PC like this for $127 and the shipping is like $100, or I'm not sure what shipping costs because it's not something that I ever do, but if you can get this PC for under $200, then I would just say just get it, because it's a fantastic price. So with that said, it's much better than yesterday's PC, obviously, and let's see if we can find something similar, and let's take a look at the prospective performance of this PC. Let's do it. Okay, so this is the prospective performance tests for the computer that we just prospectively built. And right off the bat, we are looking at Apex Legends at high graphics at 1080p. And this game is running quite well at high, and this is with the CPU, the RX, so this is the RX 580, so we can expect a little bit better performance, and this is 32 gigs of RAM, but these games don't get close to that anyway. So, you know, the lack of the better GPU makes up for the more RAM in this one. But these tests are prospective, and this is more or less the sort of performance you can expect. So we are looking at around 70 FPS average for Apex Legends on Ultra, on high, at HD. Let's move on to COD, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 with, let's do Ultra. Well, let's do FSR 3 Ultra. Balanced FSR. So this is again 60 to 70 it seems like, and this is Ultra FSR. So that's obviously, it's going to look quite good, depending on your take on FSR, what you think about it. But to me this looks quite good. I'm not a big fan of AI sort of upscaling and image generation, but if you have to use it, you have to use it. And remember, we have a little bit more leeway in our graphics card, so it's going to be, you can expect maybe around 80 FPS. Now, when you do use GPUs like these, unfortunately, you do need to consider using these sort of AI technologies. CS2, let's take a look at that. So this is high, and this seems to be running again at around 70. So that's sort of the theme with this computer so far. With this 8-core CPU that wasn't necessarily meant for gaming, but we are still getting around 70 FPS in CS2 high, which is not the most demanding game in the world, but still it's a decent result. Fortnite DirectX 11, DirectX 12 high, getting around 60. Now I do know Fortnite can be quite finicky. It depends a lot on your graphics card, and I do know it doesn't always love these older AMD cards, and you know, this is the cut down RX 580, so we can expect a relatively bigger frame rate, maybe around 10 to 20 frames more, but it's good to know that even with the RX 580 we can expect to get around 60 FPS. Forza Horizon 5, let's do high with FSR. set to quality, again 70 to 80. So this PC seems to be the 70 FPS PC for now. Let's see how it does in some other games. We can do Hogwarts Legacy. Let's do Hogwarts Legacy low native. Let's see how that does. So that gets around 50. Now I do think with the RX 590 cut down version it's going to be more, so maybe around 60. You could probably run it on medium settings with that. But all in all, I mean, if you consider that this PC is $300 or at the Black Friday price, $130, it's a no-brainer. Just buy it. It's honestly, it is just such a good price. Starfield, probably going to get around 50 on that. So Starfield low FSR 3, getting in the 40s to 50s to 60s. So playable, but Starfield is not a well optimized game, as you all know. Let's take a look at the finals, because that's quite popular. So the finals with FSR, and the thing is, like I said, FSR is unnecessarily it's an unfortunate evil for this sort of thing, because you do need to think about your frame rates, and this game is going to run at about 60 at high settings with FSR. So I would probably run it at low with no upscaling, but that really depends on what you want out of your games. Valorant is going to be okay. It's going to run at high refresh rate. So this is pretty much high refresh rate, 150-ish at high settings, and depending on how you want the game to feel, I think most people would put it at the setting. Warzone, let's do Warzone basic with FSR. So yeah, again, 70s to 80s. So this is sort of the normal sort of settings, and FSR on. I probably wouldn't play like this. It looks a little bit bad, but you know, in terms of frame rate, it's not bad at all. So let's talk about it. What do I think about this PC? I think that I would probably, the CPU, RAM, and motherboard combo is fantastic, but I do think that I would probably spend a little bit more and get sort of maybe like an RX 5700 or something like that. Something that is still much older, but much more powerful. Now I do think our 590 instead of this 580 SP, our 590 is gonna add a few frames, maybe around 10 frames at least per game. But all in all, it's still a very similar card, and it's going to get similar performance. Now, none of these games have been unplayable. We have to consider that. They've all been playable and at above 40 frames. So in terms of performance, there's not much to complain about. But if you look at yesterday's video with the 1060, the performance was actually similar to this, and that is a much lower spec card. But when you talk about price, this PC is cheaper. I think it offers better value, and I think it looks nicer as well. So this is the PC I would go for so far in this series. And when you do talk about that Black Friday price, it's like under $150. Now, of course, I'm not considering shipping for this, because that wouldn't be fair to any of the shops. But all in all, I think this one is a fantastic price. And I think the performance is really good for what you are getting. I did not know you could fly up on a drone like that. That's quite cool. I haven't played this game in like 3 years now. But yeah, so this PC, everything will be playable, and coming in at the low price of $130, I would say definitely, if you are looking for a PC, get it. See you in the next one.